Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the October meeting of the Zoning Board of Adjustment. We begin by noticing that adequate notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act pursuant to Public Law 1975, Chapter 231. Said notice was published in the Home News Tribune on January 9th, 2025, posted in Borough Hall, and sent to the Star Ledger for information. All requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act were satisfied. So with that, can we stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We begin this evening's agenda with approval of resolutions from the previous meeting. Would somebody like to make a motion on 29 Miller Drive resolution?
Can we start with roll call, please?
Oh, yes, roll call.
Sorry. Thank you.
I'm moving too quick. I guess the Giants are on tonight or something.
Okay. Ms. Delgado? Mr. Johnson?
Here.
Mr. Rabinowitz? Ms. Zielski? Mr. Sondergaard? Mr. Tobin? Mr. Topping?
Here.
Mr. Sukan?
Here.
Ms. Patel?
Here.
Mr. Derer?
Here.
Mr. Malvone? Thank you.
Okay. Sorry about that trip up. First item is resolution for 251419, the first and second floor addition at 29 Miller Drive. Someone who was here for the application, make a motion.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Everyone was here.
Everyone was here.
Yes.
I wasn't here.
No? Try to not step over nomination. Motion.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Topping?
Yes.
Who was here?
Is that
Who
enough?
voted? The only
You just
people
need
who
one vote.
voted.
So that works.
Yes, because you
Okay.
only need one for a
So,
resolution.
okay, so then we
Move on.
hereby note that that resolution was approved. If you, moving into new business, we begin tonight at an application at 55 Oak Avenue, item 251427E. Sophia Zoe Lewicki and Trilok Acharya, trying my best here. Applicant is proposing to demolish a screened-in porch and replace it with a two-story addition. Kitchen renovations will also commence at the same time. So will the applicant come forward?
Oh, we already did. Oh.
So I'm going to swear you guys in. You're both going to be testifying, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay, so you can do it at the same time. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes, I do. Okay, and please each state your names, spell your last names, and then take it away.
Sure. My name is Zoe Lewicki, Lewicki.
And I'm Trilok Acharya, Acharya.
Okay,
So I'm going
and,
to ask you to pick up the microphone and speak into
Oh,
it because we're live streaming and they won't be able to hear you.
and
Thank
if,
you very much.
and if you need it, there are two microphones.
two
You can
microphones.
always
You could each have
grab
one.
both, up to you.
Perfect. Should I just read off what we have written? I guess I'll do that.
However
Okay.
you'd like to.
Okay. My name is Zoe Lewicki, and we live at 55 Oak Avenue with we live together with our two young children. For 5 years, we've lived in Metuchen, and we have grown to deeply appreciate the strong sense of community and character of this town. We're committed to raising our family here, and the addition that we're hoping to do is essential for us to be able to stay here. Our home in its current state presents significant challenges for our family's needs, particularly when we have my in-laws visit us from Asia for extended periods. The current layout with only one full bathroom and a small, difficult-to-access powder room is inadequate for our family and our extended family. Our plan involves replacing the enclosed porch with a two-story addition to make room for our growing family. I want to note that this will not add a bedroom, but we do hope to add a full bathroom, relocate and improve our powder room, and relocate our laundry facilities from the basement for better accessibility. This is particularly important for my parents and his parents, for whom navigating the basement stairs is difficult and unsafe. We're asking for a hardship variance for the front yard setback requirement of 40 feet. We have an already existing setback of around 26 feet, and it matches our neighbor's front yard setback. Our planned addition does not shrink the front yard setback and is aligned with the front of the house. So to comply with the rule would mean we would have to set the addition back an additional 15 feet, which would shrink the size of the downstairs and also make it not match the rest of the house or the rest of the neighborhood. Although not altered by this addition, we would also like relief from pre-existing non-conforming right side yard setback, lot area, lot width, accessory dwelling setbacks, and shade tree requirements. We've put a lot of work into making the addition match the rest of the house and also, in keeping with the character of the neighborhood. We believe this is in keeping with the zoning master plan's mission to make houses match the neighborhood and provide livable spaces for residents. We believe this investment will improve our property and allow us to continue being contributing members of the Metuchen community for many years to come. We can work with Chris, the town planner, who has been very helpful to address any comments. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Chris, where the addition's going on isn't tripping the variances, correct?
The two-story addition is in the front yard setback requirement. 40 feet's required, 26 feet's existing, and that's what's proposed.
But it's the existing non-conforming aspect of the front yard.
Correct.
It's not that they're adding further into the front yard to cause that.
They're not coming into the
Right.
yard any further. They're
Right.
maintaining the existing front yard setback.
Right. But I think your stance that it's a hardship and it's pre-existing is
Yes.
often happens in Metuchen.
Okay.
Anybody like to see specific exhibits from the applicant or get walked through any specifics of the floor plan or addition? You perhaps bring the floor plan up just to make sure everybody on the board knows what's happening.
This blue section here, that's the proposed footprint. It's 2 feet wider than the existing side porch, the screened-in porch, and the rest of it is the same as, well, at least for the first floor is the same as the current screened-in porch, and there is a second story addition on top of this one too.
And in order to accomplish what you're showing, you're actually bumping out somewhat into the rear as well?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes.
Anyone have any questions of what's been presented?
Just to be clear, the bump, the 2 feet to the side isn't causing the need for another variance. It's just that the front
Correct.
yard setback, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so even though it's further than it was, that's the most compliant side of the house.
Right.
Yes.
Chris, did you have any conditions? I think, was this the one that had testimony about front yard shade trees?
Yes, they're asking for, well, first of all, the addition is less than 500 square feet, so the board could take the position that that provision doesn't even apply. I would recommend the board take that position, or if not, you can just grant the variance for the 2 front yard shade trees because the 2 existing street trees are very mature, occupy much of the yard, and I believe there's some utilities in the front yard. I think it's perfectly fine to grant those variances.
Okay.
The only
Or-
question was, do you have an additional AC unit you're proposing?
No.
Okay. and we had architectural comments in the plans. I did speak to the applicant before the meeting. They're going to work with my office just to kind of clean up the plans. Most of the comments was me reacting to some mistakes made by the architect. But I'll work with the applicant during construction, and at the typical requirement, a new survey at the time of a CO. So I have no questions. I think the applicant did a great job on the application, especially since, given how quickly he put this together and get before the board. I think we just met only 2 weeks ago and got this done.
Yeah, thanks for your help.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay. That sounds good in terms of the architectural conditions. You have a note here about asbestos siding?
Again, I was reacting to the pattern, the hatch selected by the architect. I think I knew the answer was going to be, like, you can't really source that. But I believe you're going to put new siding on around the entire house. So it will match. Everything will be seamless, including the roof structure.
Yeah. We live in a time where we may be able to source that again, but I haven't checked. Okay. Any other questions of the applicant?
And just so I'm clear, I'm the lawyer, I have to be annoying. So you are agreeing to work with the board planner as he's
Yes,
stated?
absolutely.
Yes.
Good enough for me, thank you.
Okay. If there's no more questions from the board, we have to open it up for any questions or comments from the public. This is typically the silliest time of the night for me because I have to open up to nobody. And seeing that nobody's interested, we can now close the public portion. So I think, thank you for a very concise, it's a very clear application, and thank you for bringing the technology to clearly show us. Sometimes more sophisticated, lawyers and architects come in here and they don't know how to connect, so thank you. I think you've made a plain case for why this is a hardship. There are lots of lots, sorry for that, plenty of lots in Metuchen that fit the existing non-conforming. I mean, you didn't make it on square footage, existing setbacks. It's a lovely neighborhood all the same. They just wrote the zoning after all of the houses were built. So I think you've made your case. We try to understand applicants for that. I think you've worked quite well with the architect. It's a handsome addition. I love seeing houses with screened porches and also understand why we're losing houses with screened porches. So I thank you for your application. I guess, as you had mentioned, if we made a motion on this, it would be the only item attached to it would be the applicant would continue to work with the planner and the architect.
Yes.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion on this?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Topping,
Yes.
Mr. Sukan,
Yes.
Ms. Patel,
Yes.
Mr. Darrer.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's all done. For the record, I think this question for council, typically you defer to the zoning official and/or the construction code official. It's my understanding the applicant wants to start construction soon, obviously with the winter season coming. We want to get the footings in before the frost. Obviously, I have no objection to them proceeding with the permit, provided they understand the risk of proceeding, given you have to serve notice of the board's decision, 45-day appeal period. As long as they understand the risks, I have no objection for them to get a construction permit.
It's known at the town that the town can issue an at-risk permit?
Yes.
Okay.
We've done it before,
Yeah.
but typically, some boards will say, we want to make that decision. Some boards will defer to staff. It really is your call.
Okay.
And I welcome council's interpretation if it feels any differently.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's, yeah, you phrased it well. It's understandable you might want to get underway. So there is some risk, not much. So,
Yep, that's acceptable. Thank you so much.
okay. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on tonight's agenda is item 241422E, application at 242 Crystal Street. Applicant has retroactively requested variance relief to install a sidewalk as per section 110-112 and 110-148. The original approval of the sidewalk addition was made on the condition that a sidewalk be provided on premise. Upon the granting of a variance, the applicant will be required to provide a 150% payment in lieu of estimated sidewalk installation. So with that, yeah, was the applicant come forward?
All right, I'm going to swear you in. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, and then just please state your name, spell your last name. Go right ahead.
Anobang Branch, Branch is the last name. And I apologize in advance. I have food poisoning. And so if I'm wincing, and that's what's going on. So my
We just ask
apologies.
If you hold the microphone so
Yes.
that the live stream can hear you. Thank you.
Okay.
very much.
All right. Okay, perfect. Did you hear me? I was saying I apologize for wincing. Okay, perfect. So I'm speaking to request a variance to not put in a sidewalk. I live on Crystal Street on the dead end side facing Grove, and there are no existing sidewalks on that street. It is quite common to have kids who are playing in the street and have cars parked alongside the street. Our sidewalk would end in both of our neighboring properties where there are plantings on one side. So it would be a sidewalk to nowhere. And our water, I think it's a measurement box, but when they were installed several years ago, it's right in the middle of where the sidewalk would go. So there is maintenance for a sidewalk that wouldn't be used often. Because of the cars that are parked, someone would have to walk around the cars, come onto the sidewalk, go down, walk around again, because there's a tree right in front of it. And so that is the request. And I can answer any questions that you have for me.
Your application previously was on a board?
No, I've never come before the board.
Oh.
Are you referring to the comment in my letter?
Well, that's what.
Oh, well, two things. Actually,
Sorry.
so the property was involved as a subdivision back in 2009. Actually, right when I first started working here, and the planning board granted the subdivision with waivers, including the garage setback from the porch, and that's one. The other one was not to put the sidewalk in. So that was 2009. So I guess 15 years later, applicant purchased the house recently.
No, we
A few years-
purchased the house 6 years ago.
Okay.
But we did an addition recently.
All right, so they got a zoning permit from the zoning official, and I assume it showed the sidewalk because I think
Yes.
the agenda shows retroactively. I guess that's what that means.
Yes.
All right, so they got a permit to build the addition, and now they're asking for relief from that, basically the zoning permit condition.
So the as of right permit, so they didn't appear in front of our board, the as of right permit that was applied for showed a sidewalk?
It did.
Yes. Otherwise, I don't think the zoning official would have granted the zoning approval for the addition in the first place. I understand your addition's basically done?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
The build is complete. So when we submitted the original plans, they were without the sidewalk. And the zoning official at the time told us that because of the square footage added, we were right above 500 square feet. He said the ordinance had changed since that time, and a sidewalk was now required. My architect was like, that's new, that this didn't apply. And so that was the process.
Okay. So, Chris, if this were less than 500 square feet?
Yeah, the whole design and landscape provisions, 110, 112.7, the applicability is on the square footage of the addition, 500 square feet. If it's less than 500 square feet, the board having jurisdiction or the zoning official for a regular permit could waive all those requirements. Once you hit 500 square feet, it's triggered, including garage setback, tree planting, foundation landscaping, street trees, sidewalk.
Right. So without discussing a final number, what you're saying is the original application was close to 500 square feet.
That I don't know. I wasn't part of the approval process, but maybe the applicant can clarify. How large is the addition?
The original 2009 or this application?
This application.
No, the square footage was, yes, sorry. Yes, the square footage was close to, I think it was about 600 square feet.
Okay.
It's just a few 100 square feet over.
Okay.
Not much.
Okay. Yeah, this is, so is if granting the waiver occurs, there is a payment still in play?
Right, the ordinance reads that for the applicant to be given the opportunity to seek an exception from those standards, the board must be granting a variance and require 150% payment, and that's what the applicant's proposing. Unlike other applications you've heard from this board within the past year, on Delaware Avenue, a couple of those homes, they were asking for relief from the payment as well, but that's not what the applicant's proposing. This is similar to the 96 Rose Street application from a couple months ago.
Right.
Applicant's willing to pay.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think probably the board and you going through this is aware the sidewalk, complete streets, ordinance is intended to eventually fill in, so in many contexts, one person's sidewalk to nowhere will, over the course of a decade or 2 decades, fill in and make certain neighborhoods, safer. When I saw the location, I had an immediate concern like, oh, there must be other sidewalks over there. There's crosswalks and the school goes right by there, and there's a crossing guards and things like that. So I went and put my eyes on it myself and see that most of the landscaping and most of that street is extremely quiet because it is a dead end. And I have weighed in on both sides of this, that the intent of that ordinance of eventually filling in everywhere makes sense in some context. Other times where I didn't think it made sense was, say, over near Oakland Park, where the front setbacks of all the houses are right on top of the curb, and all of the trees were, put between that. So putting a sidewalk in is going to actually, the intent of the planners of that neighborhood never wanted sidewalks. There are plenty of wonderful rural neighborhoods that don't have sidewalks. So to me, it's a complex issue. I am pro sidewalk. I see your point, and I appreciate your willingness to pay for it. I don't know if there's any questions or dispositions anyone else has on the board on this matter.
Are there no sidewalks on that side of the street all the way?
On the street, on this side, yes. On this side of Crystal, yes.
Yeah.
There's no sidewalks on either side of the street. On the side of Crystal. The side of Crystal that is open, that as exits on Main, there are sidewalks on one side of that street.
If I'm understanding, I guess I'm looking at it on Google Maps, it looks like at some point Crystal was a through street, but then there was kind of like a no outlet and sort of, it was similar to, what is it, the south or Chestnut or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've wondered about the full history on that. I don't know it, but it does look like someone said, hey, this is a major cut through.
So then it looks like the way that I guess Crystal entirety in its entirety works is that sidewalks go basically to where that division is, and then on your side there's no sidewalk from that point all the way to the corner. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, so this is an interesting one because we're not debating the merits of a variance per se, whether it's hardship or this or that. It's whether to grant relief of it.
Yes, but since the applicant's willing to pay, then that sort of meets some of the criteria. I'll defer to council whether we
Right.
truly need positive and negative criteria. I put it in my memo as a typical boilerplate response,
Right,
but I did hear some reasons for them that
Right.
board could make a decision.
yeah. And to me, this is a context where I think what you're asking for is reasonable. The payment is essentially so that we can make accessibility improvements elsewhere.
Yes.
Which is sorely needed in parts of the borough. So this, the intent is there. Any thoughts from the board? Hearing none, we will open up to the public. Are there any questions or thoughts, comments from the board?
Todd Pagel, 313 Midland Avenue.
All right, you're going to be making a statement, I'm going to swear you in, okay? Or are you going to be asking questions?
Making a statement.
Okay, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thank you. It's been I've been trying to get to these meetings for a while, and I appreciate everything you guys do. And it's very hard to get to these meetings to address this issue. I know this is not the only issue that's come up to the zoning board in terms of this ordinance. So I just want to give the board a little bit of background. And I wrote this down because the folks who on the panel know me, I can be a little long-winded. So this is going to keep it shorter. First, I'd like to thank the zoning board for all of your hard work. I know how challenging this job can be, and I truly appreciate the thoughtful and balanced way you've guided development in Metuchen over the last decade. Your commitment to planning for the future has helped shape a borough that will thrive for generations. That same forward-thinking vision is exactly what inspired this sidewalk ordinance, a law meant to ensure that as our town grows, it does so safely and responsibly, with connected, walkable streets that make Metuchen special. I served on the Borough Council when we passed this ordinance, the same one being challenged tonight. The goal was simple, to make Metuchen safer, more connected, and more walkable for everyone. It's only a couple pages. We deliberated over this for years. We didn't pass this until the end of my term. I started, it was about a 4-year term, for years. All right, lots of discussions. We knew it would have a lasting impact on safety and accessibility, and we worked hard to get it right. When we designed this ordinance, the aim was to build sidewalks, not to collect payments. The 150% payment option exists only as a last resort for situations where construction truly isn't feasible. The law's purpose is straightforward. When someone builds a new home or adds onto an existing one, they help fill in the missing gaps. This is not a punishment, it is a shared investment in the safety and livability of our town. I want to highlight a few reasons why sidewalks are an investment in our community and not a burden. And I have handouts if you'd like. Sidewalks have a clear impact on health, safety, and property. According to the AARP, one of Metuchen's greatest partners, people who live in neighborhoods with sidewalks are 40% more likely to be active for at least 39 minutes a day. A well-constructed walkway for a typical 50-foot wide residential property might cost around $2,000, but it can return 15 times that in resale value. In fact, homes with a 5-foot wide sidewalk and 2 street trees can sell for $4,000 to $34,000 more than similar homes without them, and they often sell faster. Retail properties in highly walkable areas with a walk score of 80 out of 100 were actually valued 54% higher compared to less walkable properties. Sidewalks also have a profound effect on safety, particularly for children, which is right by a high school. According to a study by the UNC Highway Safety Research Center conducted by the Federal Highway Administration, the likelihood of a site with a paved sidewalk being a crash site is 88.2% lower than a site without a sidewalk. Additionally, a study of California State's Routes to School program has shown that providing sidewalks is one of the most effective engineering measures to encourage children to walk to school. These findings reinforce the ideas that sidewalks aren't just convenient, they save lives, support healthier and more active communities. This property sits on Crystal Street, which you all have in front of you. Already has sidewalks on 90% of it. You try to find out where that dead end came from, it's a lost cause. I've tried since I moved here 20 years ago. Someone decided to close that street off, right? The rest of Crystal from that dead end area back towards Main Street all has sidewalks on it, and most kids use that sidewalk to bike and walk to school. All right, what makes this even more concerning is if you look at the Google Maps, all right, when we were redoing the sidewalks on Grove, we built a handicap accessible ramp, all right, that goes from Crystal Street without a sidewalk, handicap accessible ramp to cross Grove to the high school, right? So this was designed for pedestrians, people using wheelchairs, parents with strollers, all right, which simply ends. For anyone with mobility issues, that's just not convenient, it's unsafe and unfair. I want my kids, I live on that other side of town on Main Street, to be able to walk to school in 10 years, right? Since this ordinance has passed, something I'm extremely proud of, which is why I'm here tonight, a little surreal, a little shaky, all right? Metuchen has done an incredible job, because of you, filling in our sidewalk network. Every project that followed the rule has made our town safer, more connected, and more accessible. Upholding this requirement tonight continues that progress and keeps us moving toward the walkable community we envisioned. I respectfully urge the board to uphold the spirit of the ordinance and require that this sidewalk be built. Every link we add brings us closer to a safer, more accessible, and more connected Metuchen that truly works for everyone. All right, and what I have here is the research I cited. I'll pass it up to you all, pass it around. The statistics are real about the property values, safety issues, all that good stuff. All right, the term sidewalk to nowhere, Mr. Topping, I appreciate your comments in the beginning, and this is a very tough issue, all right, especially because the branches are offering to pay, which is super generous. Sidewalk to nowhere is a term we need to get out of this vocabulary in Metuchen, all right? Because eventually, all right, that sidewalk is going to go to something else, all right? That side of Crystal only has about 5 or 6 houses. One of them was recently redone, probably about maybe a year or 2 ago, and should have had a sidewalk. That's 3 of the 5 houses, all right? 2 more houses, and that is a fully connected sidewalk that our residents can walk from Main Street. They can walk from Old Meeser Park up through Crystal to the high school for football games, for soccer games, for plays, all of that good stuff, all right? So not sure how this is going to pan out tonight, all right? And I appreciate the branches offering to pay that. That was never the intent. The borough doesn't even have a mechanism to take that money and to use it for other accessible sidewalks throughout the borough, all right? And when you do pass it or don't pass it, that's going to be my next project. So I really appreciate it. I'm sorry I had to come here like this. I hope that the zoning board understands kind of the gravity of this, right? And the fact that Metuchen has such a walkable downtown and such a walkable town in general. And it's only because of smart planning and the council and the zoning board, the planning board, all working together to make this happen. So I appreciate it. Thanks for the time.
Thank you for your passion and your time you took.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
You're going to be giving a statement, I'll swear you in as well. Okay?
Sure.
All right.
Richard Mansuso?
All right, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And can you just spell your last name?
Menziuso. Okay, thank you. I haven't come to speak to all of you. I'm not going to follow how eloquent Todd, former councilman Todd, had given a wonderful speech. I actually live on Crystal Street, so my testimony is as a resident of this town. I think my family and I have lived on that block in particular, I think maybe 15 years or so. I have to say, it's one of the quiet blocks. The story about the block being a dead end has to do with the easement on the property. I understand that there'll never be anything, that street will never become a full street along Crystal Street because of the foundation. There's a crack in the earth, and that's why that area is so reserved and preserved. Actually, in a lot of ways, it's a nice thing. It's such a beautiful block, too, because, you know, a lot of these homes were built in the 50s, right? And a lot of the characters still exists in that town. We have such wonderful, beautiful trees that will be obstructed by a sidewalk. A lot of the pipes that lead underground are actually the deepest, I believe, in the borough. They go about 10 feet. I have experience with plumbing issues, so I know for sure about that. And it gets quite expensive. And those lines are very old. And I worry about obstructing that area. Now, I don't, it's not a safety issue because that block is one of the safest blocks to walk. My children walk and play in that area. And the best thing is I have the best neighbors, including the applicants that came here this evening. I actually wasn't going to come here to speak. Actually, I'm encouraged to speak to say what the truth is about that particular area. I have all the faith and confidence of making Metuchen a walkable community. I used to live by closer to downtown and Main Street, and it was wonderful to walk. But let's please be practical about application of the rules. I understand the importance. I grew up in a very urban environment. I understand the importance of bringing the community together and having walkable streets. But please be practical this evening when you do make a decision. It's such a wonderful area. I encourage you all to take a visit. Maybe one day we'll have Porch Fest. They have such a wonderful porch and making such a beautiful improvement to their own home. I feel it's kind of punitive to them in a lot of ways. I actually would take a different approach and say, that's a lot of money to ask of a family that invested their own money, hardworking money, to beautify their home and actually to maintain the look and style and character of the town. I think we should be applauding that, and it actually should not be punitive. And I guess that's all I have to say. I encourage you to think about this further, and I thank you for your time. And I do agree, you do wonderful work. You do consider every aspect, so I appreciate your time this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. Seeing none, we'll close the public portion. That right there was two comments that makes me glad I live in Metuchen. Thoughtfully presented, all about a sidewalk. So, thank you both. So, and you know, I think a lot of the statistics that Mr. Pagel put forward, you know, certainly are most likely correct with whoever did the study on what those percentages would be about walkability. And I think the percentages and the findings work. When I went to look at it and drive it and walk it, I did it with the greater, wider aspect of how one applies these rules, which is context. So what I said before, I kind of stand behind my own vote on how I see this. I see this as a context where this is a dead end and is appropriate that cars actually are given the right signal to slow down when they go into such a, you know, such a context. I think people walking without a sidewalk on flat asphalt that they've entered from an accessible, you know, sidewalk on Grove have the right context to be careful. That's a quality of roads throughout this country. I've lived in Virginia for many years. There are almost no sidewalks in very walkable cities, very walkable neighborhoods. So I think in evaluating the context of Metuchen, I kind of still stand by the fact that that dead end should not be stricken with the complete streets is the most appropriate application for that context. So with that, my position is known. So is there any other thoughts from the board, or would someone like to make a motion one way or the other on this?
I think this is a tough situation. Just trying to think about what the purpose of the ordinance. I don't always think that the ordinance should apply in every situation, so it makes it tough. I do think this situation, for me, where I'm having the challenge, because I do think dead ends are not always the best place to enforce this. It does seem, though, that there is a walkway on the other side of that dead end. And so I'm kind of in this battle.
One that would never connect to these sidewalks.
It wouldn't be able to connect from that walkway down to.
Well, the barriers, right? the sidewalk doesn't magically come up to the barrier.
I think it. It appears that there's like a brick pathway there, I think. So it seems, to me, it seems like a situation where the ordinance, would be what, I mean, what is intended. So I can definitely see making the argument that it would apply here.
The way I'm looking at it, like, I'm most concerned about having sidewalks in places where there's, kind of a shared right of way with through traffic. So on the other side of the dead end, like, to me, that makes all the sense in the world, and I'm glad that there are sidewalks over there, because you have traffic that can get from Crystal to Norris, via like the cross streets. I am less concerned for the side that this property is on, where where you have a fairly small number of houses before the dead end. Like, and I guess I've been trying to, I don't walk this way much, but looking at how it's sort of laid out, like, I'm imagining that for people who are accessing the schools, if they're coming from the other side of the dead end, then they, cross the kind of little connector to the driveway that's next to the barricade, and then basically dump onto this part of Crystal Street, walk down the street, and then cross at the crosswalk. And considering that cars can't, the only cars that are going to be coming on the street are ones that are going to like these 10 or so houses, I'm not particularly concerned with the conflicts with traffic here. So I think from my perspective, I think this is a place where where there's, relatively minimal safety concern compared to, say, like, Rose, where, it is a connector between streets that, that is heavily utilized.
I agree with that line of thinking. I mean, that was why on the Rose Street one, I pushed harder, because to me, it was a much different context. I perhaps pushed too hard. Any other thoughts?
I tend to agree. This is a challenging one because I do see the point of, in the context of connecting for a pedestrian pathway from the, from that little notch, there's that like brick pathway. You still might, it goes onto the street, so you still might have to go into the street for a second, but there's a potential to create a connection to the school because there's, the crosswalk on Grove there. That's the part that I'm struggling with. But understanding also in that context that cars can't go through Crystal to create through traffic. So it is a challenging one.
Ms. Patel?
Yeah, I mean, I think the same thing. I think this is a good, sorry. I think this is a good pathway to get my kids walk, not to the high school, but I think the same point that if it connects to Maine, that's a positive, but I also, I live on a dead end too, but it probably has maybe double or triple the houses, and there's a lot of fast cars, and we have full sidewalks, which one house built it since we've been there, and I really appreciate that because the kids would walk on the street, but there are a lot more houses, which that's what gives me pause here is the few number of houses I think is helpful to help to grant the variance.
Okay, so it seems like we have differing opinions. I guess it could go a couple ways where one could put forth recognition of the variance and the requirement to build sidewalks, and or one could put forth recognition of the variance and a waiver for payment. So we could almost vote it both ways to see with 5 people how that goes. If someone would like to make a motion on either one of those, we can see it through.
I move to approve, like, as proposed, so like with the payment in lieu of sidewalk.
Anyone want to second that? I'll second that. And we can take a vote. Then we'll do it the other way if we need to.
So we're voting
Yeah,
to approve with payment.
the
I just
payment.
want to make sure
Yeah.
that everyone's clear.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you
And
very
it-
much.
it-
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Sukan?
No.
Ms. Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Derer?
No.
And Mr. Toppin?
Yes. So the yeses carry that, so the payment is accepted. I appreciate all of the sensitivity to this. This was probably the best sidewalk discussion of context. I really do mean it. Like, we need to take these things seriously, you know? So, thank you. And moving on to the final item of new business, application 251411, 148 East Chestnut Avenue. Stephen Pilardes, applicant, has constructed a new single-family dwelling, fence accessory structure, and driveway require bulk variances. Oh. Not the final.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes,
How are you, Mr. Topping?
good evening.
Good. Chris, good to see you. Council members. I have two files tonight, and I pulled out the wrong one.
Yeah.
Good evening. I'm going to read my opening statement. It will be brief. It's my intention to make this succinct and informative as possible, not to waste anyone's time here. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Larry Lavender. I represent the applicant, Mr. Stephen Pilardes. He's the owner of the property 148 East Chestnut Avenue, subject of this application. This application seeks to amend variance relief related to several as-built conditions associated with the recently constructed single-family dwelling on the property. The variance primarily involved the driveway width, coverage, the rear yard shed, overall building coverage, and certain landscaping and tree planting requirements. This evening, we'll have one expert, our planner, and if you need to hear from the applicant, certainly we'll present him. Board has no questions directly for me. I would like to bring up our planner.
All right. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. Please state your name, spell your last, and go from there.
My name is John Tykina, T as in Thomas, A-I, K as in Kelly, I-N as in Nicholas A. I'm a licensed planner in the state of New Jersey, have been since I completed my studies at Rutgers University in 1992. I spent most of my time doing this, testifying before planning and zoning boards around the state and across the country on behalf of applicants large and small. I have appeared before more than 175 boards around the state, and I was here 2 months ago.
We remember you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, you are accepted as a witness.
So I'm here to talk about the application for some bulk relief for some as-built conditions. You have the plans in front of you.
Can you give us a little anecdotal narrative for how we came to be here tonight?
I sure can. The applicant and Mr. Cosenza did a nice job of kind of summarizing a little bit of the timeline. But the applicant received a zoning permit to construct the house back in 2022. He then proceeded to construct that house. So the house, as constructed, is consistent with the plans that were filed as part of the application. And it was a conforming zoning application, so there was no board action. It was just a conforming single-family house with existing non-conforming lot width, lot area, at that time. House was constructed, and it was constructed, to the edge, so, full 30% or 29.9% of building coverage. My client then occupied the house, et cetera, when I guess he went for approvals for his COs in 23. He had already put a shed on the property, and the shed that he placed on the property is too close to the side of the rear yard, and the shed placed the building coverage over. So the house, et cetera, everything, the house, the covered patio, the covered porch, the patio, it's there, all of that is conforming and consistent with the plans. The overage in terms of building coverage is the shed that's in the back. Likewise, at the time, you had adopted some new driveway ordinances and driveway standards as part of your supplemental regulations. And they are written, frankly, for a side entry garage, so that you do all your maneuvering on the side of the house, and then you pull up in front, and then you just need a narrow driveway to be able to get out to the street. It's a 60-foot lot in the R1, non-conforming in terms of the standards. He has 2 front-loaded garages that were permitted at the time that he sought the permits, and it just doesn't work, frankly. So I guess when he was finished with construction and finalized, I don't know if you know the way you kind of build a house. You kind of build a house, and then you work your way out to the street with your flat work and your driveway and all those types of things. And so they tied the driveway in so that you can get in and out of the driveway. And that is wider than the 12 feet that is permitted at the front street line. And then overall, the driveway is wider by about 4 feet from what is permitted. And that additional 4 feet is essentially infill between the side of the garage door where the driveway was shown on the plan and the steps. So he kind of filled in that area instead of having like a little 4-foot planting bed next to between the driveway and the steps. He filled that area in. So that's how all the dimensions ended up being. So I don't think there was any malice aforethought. I think that it just kind of evolved in terms of put the shed in, didn't know he needed a permit, thought it was small enough that he didn't need a permit as an accessory structure. And that pushed us over in building coverage. And then when he went to get the final thing, the driveway was too wide and was told, you're going to have to come back to the board. And he then proceeded to do that. He had to get plans, he had to, find out all the other things to make sure that he could get here, et cetera. Probably took him longer than anybody would have wanted, but he prosecuted it to get here. And that's how we ended up here tonight. I was here 2 months ago, and had the opportunity to work on behalf of the gas station on Middlesex Avenue. And I ended up with a tag-along orphan client. So I was asked if I could help out with the application in terms of talking about it from a planning standpoint, and that's how I got here. So I think that's an accurate that's an accurate description of how we got here. Sorry if it was a little longer than you thought.
No. So I see this kind of as-built vehicle maneuvering documents. This was done post-construction to make a case tonight?
Yes. So EKA was brought on to put together this application package, and they so again, I actually think it does a nice job of showing kind of what the issues are with the driveway design as it relates to having a two-car front entry garage as opposed to a single-car garage or a side entry garage. That would be appropriate with a 12-foot width driveway. When you try and cross the two, it ends up not working. You can't get from 20 feet wide down to 12 feet wide in a way that you can make a car make that turn as you're backing out, or pulling out forward. Either way, it wouldn't work.
Diagram appears to prove the opposite, but okay.
It works from the east side driveway spot. It doesn't work from the west side driveway spot.
Yeah, I guess I'm not totally buying into the diagram. Chris, the driveway regulations didn't change in the timeframes noted, did they?
1 second. I believe I put in my memorandum, during construction, as the applicant's planner indicated, in 2023, June, so this is during construction before CO was issued or TCO, the driveway ordinance was modified to really account for wider lot conditions. So if you have a lot 62.5 feet wide, you can have a 16-foot wide driveway. If you have a lot 75 feet wide, you can have a 20-foot wide driveway. That was to accommodate the larger lots that would tend to have two-car garages.
So it was made more generous, but never before that did it ever allow a 24-foot wide driveway?
Correct.
Okay.
I should note, though, among those revisions was the regulation of the the garage within the context of the overall facade. There was no such restriction other than the projection, whether it's forward from the house. That had already existed for 2 decades at this point. These provisions are adopted around the same time as the driveway ordinance was to regulate the maximum width of a garage within a front facade. Now it's not to exceed 40% or 30 feet of the overall structure. The dwelling was approved before that ordinance took effect. So once the ordinance took effect, the house, which is mostly garage with this sliver of a entry door, that house is technically no longer conforming to today's standards. So I can understand a case that's being made where you have a relatively narrow lot that today wouldn't allow for a 2-car wide garage, which would necessitate a 2-car wide driveway. So the two work in tandem, but unfortunately, the house was allowed to be built with a wider garage back in 2021. But at the time, the driveway ordinance had not been modified yet.
So those aspects were all as of right, did not need to come in front of a board, could just pull a permit?
Correct.
Okay. The driveway would have been non-conforming always.
The driveway width was proposed at 12 feet, and that was
And built at 24?
Correct.
Wait, it was a 2-car garage, and the width on the property was only 12 feet?
No.
The driveway.
The width of the driveway was proposed at 20 at the house and for much of its length. And then it was proposed to narrow sharply to 12 feet at the property line, to be a compliant driveway, with the thought that you'd be able to make that maneuver to be able to turn out. And it's one of those things that the engineer can draw whatever he wants, but a car, an SUV, doesn't necessarily make that turn. So it doesn't work, and
Okay.
it's impractical.
I guess perhaps I'll sound arrogant because I live in a house with this condition, and people find a way to make their way out of the driveway. What other reliefs are being asked for?
The other relief that's being requested is relates to the shed. It's at about 2.5 feet off the 2 property lines. 5 feet.
Also something that plainly would have been known when placing the shed?
plainly would have been known to me as a planning professional. I don't know if it was plainly known to a homeowner placing a shed.
Is this one of those Amish sheds that gets put on a, like, yeah, it's on a bed of gravel?
Yeah, it's not on a foundation, it's just
Okay.
placed down, correct.
Okay.
So the shed can move?
Sure.
Not easily, but yes, it could move. So I believe, Mr. Costanza, in your letter, you recommend going to 3 feet, and we would be agreeable to that compromise and suggestion.
Was there a reason why you suggested something other than what they wouldn't need to come in front of us for?
Well, the other option was to remove the shed. And the application put forth was to keep the shed. Obviously, moving the shed to at least 3 feet would still require a variance if I'm understanding correctly, the shed's greater than 100 square feet?
Yes, it's 160 square feet.
Right, so the shed still, by the ordinance, it requires a minimum 5-foot setback.
Right.
I suppose what I'm saying in my comment 7.4 is I would be okay if it were my decision with 3 feet, but that still requires a variance,
Right, and your ordinance has
5 feet.
Chris, make sure I get it right. Kind of a graduated, if you're a 50-foot lot, you can be at 3 feet, and if you're a 75-foot lot, you're required to be at 5 feet. So I think we're kind of splitting the baby here, which
Yes.
makes logical sense.
Can I ask, is there still an issue with the ground, with the coverage on the ground, though?
Yeah, I guess the coverage issues wouldn't change.
Yeah.
But, you know, what
Right, we're over on building coverage by that 160 square feet. I also think we're getting caught in the difference between how architects do feet and engineers do feet for a foot or two, but essentially the overage on our building coverage is the shed. Our impervious coverage is under and remains under. So
total impervious.
total impervious remains under 50%. So
Okay.
that complies.
I'm sorry, how wide is the lot?
60 feet.
All right, so it would not be eligible for the 3-foot graduation. It'd still be 5 feet.
Right.
Yeah,
The-
just making it clear.
The standard, the lesser number is at 50 feet, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're kind of in between.
Okay. So 5 feet's acceptable to the applicant?
3 feet was acceptable to the applicant, 5 feet is compliance. Or is the board making that suggestion? Mr. Cosenza suggested 3.
He
We
did.
We agree with
He-
his suggestion. If you're suggesting something
He
else.
did. He may have been making that suggestion with the thought that it was a 50-foot wide lot.
No, I think 3 feet would be fine, really mainly for fire code reasons. Actually, one question I have, are there any windows in the shed? Okay.
So, yeah, so there are no windows to the property lines, only
That'll be fine with 3 feet.
only into the lot.
He hasn't been sworn in yet. no.
Yeah, maybe we'll swear him in if, I feel like that might keep happening, so. All right, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, please state your name and spell your last.
My name is Stephen Pilaris. I live on 148 East Chestnut Avenue, Metuchen.
Okay, so we're going to let the planner, I don't think we're finished with the planner. We'll let him keep testifying, answering questions. You can take a seat, but this way you remain under oath.
No problem.
Even after you take a seat and get back up, you're still under oath, but this way you can answer questions. And if you do, just do me a favor, and maybe your lawyer can hand you the microphone if something comes up. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, I was just recommending at least 3 feet. It could be 5 feet if that's what the board desires. Given the structure is, relatively small, it's not 2 stories, not 1.5 stories like a detached garage would be. Or even with a living space above a garage like you see in town.
Okay.
This is a modest structure. I think a 3-foot setback is fine.
Additionally, is there a fence between?
I don't recall. It's been a couple of years since I looked at the property.
Yeah, yes, there's a fence that's
And how
around the
tall is the
property.
fence?
White vinyl,
How tall?
6 feet?
So 6-foot white vinyl. Presumably, a resident adjacent property may not see it, but I guess we'll defer to public comments on that.
Okay. We've covered the driveway. We've
I
covered,
guess I have a question
Yeah.
on the driveway. So, look on the sheet that has the diagram. Is that depicting like the property line as being before the sidewalk?
Yes, that's a typical street configuration in most towns, but certainly in Metuchen, where you kind of have you have a curb, then you have a parkway, the little place where you'd put the street tree, then you have a sidewalk, and then you usually have a little bit of grass until you get to the actual property line.
Okay, yeah. And so then I guess the ordinance, I have a similar condition in my house. In my understanding from when we did our renovation was that it was where the driveway met the sidewalk, not the property line, but am I understanding that wrong?
It's the property line,
Okay, gotcha.
which in many cases isn't obvious in many cases, because in some streets with 50-foot right-of-ways, the property line might be on the edge of the sidewalk, give or take a few inches. This is a 60-foot right-of-way, East Chestnut Avenue, so the curb is about 12, 15 feet from the right-of-way line, so there's actually another 3 or 5 feet of grass behind the sidewalk before you hit the property line.
Yeah.
Visually, according to the plans that are shown on the as-built maneuvering diagram, it's 16.31 feet. I can understand why they're making that argument, because visually it looks like it has a 16-foot wide opening, which I appreciate them trying to use that, because that's the recognizable width.
yeah, that portion of relief has come up before, because there's oddities of where the right-of-way and your property line is like, the feasibility of getting to
Right.
what the ordinance asks. So we have given relief for that. The fact that this is built, I guess the thing to me, if this came in front of our board and you showed me a 24-foot wide slab of asphalt that went right up to the porch on something that you were just staring at a front face of two garages, we would have made comment and kind of steered that away so that you had some shrubbery or planting or something. But this exists. So we're trying to balance, fire safety at, back, shed lines and things like that. And I guess other than the shed and the driveway, Chris, you mentioned landscaping?
Yes, the plans at the time showed a conforming number of street trees, front yard shade trees, front yard flowering trees, as well as tree removal and replacement, which would have required a pretty substantial payment in lieu, because many trees were removed from the property. Essentially, it was clear cut.
So I guess what's the open topic regarding that?
Well, the variance topic, the most relevant variance topic is there are 2 street trees that were proposed, and we will make sure there are 2 street trees, first of all, so that relief will go away. And then secondly, the ordinance also has a requirement for 2 flowering trees.
Right.
And we will also plant those somewhere in the front yard, so that we can, comply with that. So we don't want that relief. I was a little confused, I admit, on the tree removal. You refer to 77, chapter 77, and when I go to chapter 77, it tells me that it was adopted in 2024, and accordingly, it would not apply if the tree removal occurred in 2022.
Now, the plans showed preserving several trees in the backyard, if I recall correctly. So there are trees removed during construction. Frankly, it's impossible to know when they were removed at this point.
Well, they were certainly removed before 2024.
So we really don't know for sure.
Yeah,
We don't have a tree removal permit. We don't have anything.
I'm just trying to get in focus the multiple things that are not correct.
Right.
And I think the planner's memo puts forth the recommendation that the 50% reduction for the tree removals that clearly happened, that 26 replacement trees be required, given the 2 trees already planted, and at least 3 trees recommended to be provided as per above. This reduces the deficit to 21 replacement trees. Is that still your recommendation, Chris?
Yes.
Is that acceptable to the applicant?
sounds like we don't have a choice, so. I'm
On
confused.
the other thing,
I admit I'm confused on the applicability, but
okay.
Well, then we go back to the original ordinance, and we need figures on that. And
Again,
I believe the tree replacement requirements were actually higher. But at the time the permit was issued, not nearly as many trees were proposed to be removed.
What's the difference in the trees? How many trees are we talking about, Chris, that we would need?
I have to go back to the old ordinance
What?
You're recommending 3 additional trees be planted?
Is that it?
in the
Okay.
front yard.
Doesn't seem
That
like-
gets counted towards the
He's
26.
recommending 3 additional trees with 21 replacement trees still being required after. So we can go and split hairs and go back to the application, but knowing Mr. Cosenza, I'm pretty sure he's probably being generous in this memo.
So that's 24 altogether? Is that what we're talking about?
21 replacement tree. It's the planting of 2 shade trees and 3 others,
3 total, I believe.
or 3 total, and 21 replacement trees not being planted.
Okay. Is that acceptable?
I should also note that the applicant's engineer proposed a tree replacement under the same ordinance, so I'm not disputing that. But if we need to go back to the old ordinance, we need to go back to the old numbers, and that's going to take a while for me to figure out. And it might actually be a higher requirement.
Years, perhaps.
and again, we're looking to finish tonight, so I think we're looking for a reasonable.
Right.
I think that a reasonable compromise would be, we accept the 21 trees, but we accept that Mr. Pilatus lives there. He is the homeowner, so we avail him up to the 50% reduction, and that's 10 trees, not 20 trees, and that's the replacement that he'd be required to compensate.
I believe the ordinance was for ongoing occupancy of houses during tree removal.
Technically, it's a resident, and you're not a resident if the house is under construction.
Yeah.
But the applicant's
Oh.
planner's asking
Yeah.
for that relief by virtue of the occupancy standard. You bought the property, well, let me ask you this. Did the applicant live in the property before the original house was demolished?
No.
Okay,
Then it's not applicable.
yeah.
Okay.
Do we have any proof that those trees were hazard trees in accordance with Chapter 77?
He has a letter. He has a letter, and he was going to run back and get it. I told him he didn't need it. I'll take the hit there. But I think we would be content to say we'll work out a number with Mr. Cosenza based on the hazard trees, et cetera, the opinion of his arborist, et cetera, and come up to a number that's acceptable.
Well, it's a little vague. I'm not sure the board would be comfortable doing that. I'll defer to the board, but if anyone knows anything about that letter, was it prepared by a licensed tree expert or arborist? Because it's not acceptable by an engineer or a licensed tree.
It's not an engineer, but we'll see what the letter says.
Okay.
As you can see, I'm looking for ways to reduce the number.
I understand, and I appreciate that. I'm sensitive to how this adds up for a homeowner.
Yep. Okay. Any other questions of this planner?
I do have my affirmative testimony if you'd like.
Please do.
For your record, I don't want, I'm always sensitive to make sure that the board does make the correct findings. We are seeking C variances, as we said, for driveway width at front lot line, for driveway width in the front yard, for driveway coverage in the front yard, for accessory structure to be 3 feet, a minimum of 3 feet instead of 5 feet. And we're going to comply with providing for street trees and comply with flowering trees. And we will have a tree replacement payment in lieu. These C variances, again, you have 5 specific findings. 1, a specific piece of property. 2, that it advanced purposes of zoning. 3, that either it's a hardship because of a specific physical feature of the property in question. or that the benefits of granting the variance outweigh any detriments. And as you know, with all of your variances, that we meet our negative criteria, no substantial detriment to public good, no substantial impairment to the zone plan or the master plan. In terms of a specific piece of property, we're talking about 148 East Chestnut Avenue, no other property. Granting relief on this property does not convey any precedence to any other property. Every other applicant who comes before you needs to make their own case with their own specific facts. In terms of our reasons why we believe this is appropriate, advances purposes of zoning, I'd submit to you there are 3. G, to provide for sufficient space and appropriate locations for a variety of uses in accordance with their environmental requirements to meet the needs of New Jersey citizens. I, to promote a desirable visual environment through creative development techniques and good civic design and arrangement. And M, to encourage the coordination of various public and private procedures affecting land development with a view towards lessening the cost of that development and to the more efficient use of the land. So there is certainly sufficient space on the site for the development in question. The location is appropriate on East Chestnut in your R1 residential district. The new home is attractive and contributes to the neighborhood. The new home is getting caught up on a front-loaded lot with a side-loaded ordinance. And we're getting caught between, in between that, and it presents a physical challenge on a narrow lot for this previously approved site. So I do believe that that some of the driveway width elements do relate to the narrowness of the lot and could be granted as a C1 variance. The balance of the relief requested would be a C2 variance, where the benefits outweigh the detriments to be able to leave the improvements in place. And also under the premise of Lang v. North Caldwell, the board would be appropriate in making a decision that the applicant is entitled to have improvements that are of reasonable size and shape for their utility. So a driveway that is of appropriate size and shape to be able to accommodate the movements in and out of a 2-car garage. I do also think, as to the specific of this property, as the board would know from your visit to the property, it is 2 individual garage doors. So consistent with some of the design elements of the borough, you prefer 2 individual garage doors as opposed to 1 single garage door. So again, instead of having a single garage door that's usually only 16 feet wide or so, which would kind of push the parking closer together, when you end up splitting those garage doors, you end up putting kind of the garage a little wider and ends up pushing the cars further out. So as we're trying to line up with that from a design standpoint, I think we get caught in between the dimensions there. And it's also to increase the building coverage for a typical accessory structure that adds to the building coverage, such as the shed. As we said, we are over for the square footage of the shed. The relief is reasonable, and even though the driveway is over width, we still meet the impervious coverage, and we have the dry well improvement for added infiltration to make sure that we do not have any stormwater negative impacts on our surrounding properties. In terms of our negative criteria, first, no variance should be granted if it's a substantial detriment to public good. Again, the standard is a substantial detriment. Again, this is a permitted use in the zone. It's a single-family house. It's not a noxious use. It's a single-family house where the Pilartists live. In terms of being a detriment to the neighborhood, it is consistent with other new homes in the neighborhood. Admittedly, most of East Chestnut are older homes that typically have the detached garage in the back, so you have the single driveway running along the side. Any of the new homes that are on the block are all of the 2-car garage facing the front with a 20-foot plus wide driveway that comes out to a 2-car apron. That's at 139, at 170, at 174. So any of the new homes on the block are of this ilk. Recognizing that, again, that's not necessarily what you're looking for, but in terms of this specific block, it's not a detriment because that is a standard that is in the neighborhood that is there today. If I didn't have that condition, I'd be making a different argument. I recognize that once you kind of have those new things come into the neighborhood, they start to affect the character, but they're there. So by nature of the context and condition of the neighborhood, I don't believe there'll be a substantial detriment to what's going on there. And then finally, there'll be no impairment to the zone plan. It's a permitted use in the R1 zone. It's going to be a single-family house with a front yard driveway and a shed in the back. It's going to look like every other single-family house, a new single-family house around the borough, look like most of the other yards. And in terms of the whole, what does the person on the street think? What is going past the property, looking at it, et cetera. You're not, the ordinary man on the street, person on the street's not going to walk past this property and say, oh, wow, look at that. That's a variance. That's wrong. That's this. You'd never look at the property and say it's ridiculous and out of place. It looks like a driveway and it's a shed in the back. So again, I don't believe it meets the heightened to say that it's a substantial detriment or a substantial impairment. So for those reasons, I believe you have the ability to make the requisite findings. I'm available for any other questions.
Any questions on this testimony?
I just want to be absolutely clear. What was approved when building the house was a 20-foot, but then a 24-foot driveway was.
Actually, the applicant's planner did clarify it. So when we were talking about 20 feet, it was in the beyond the front yard or front lot line up to basically against the garage, but 12 feet at the property line. That was what was approved. What was built was approximately 21 feet at the property line and 24 feet overall, both of which require variances. But visually, it's about 16 feet at the edge of the sidewalk. I did want to offer one clarification. Did some research. I found an old ordinance from 2020, and I have the article, I believe it's 46, section 110, 181.2. Obviously, it doesn't exist anymore. But I ran the numbers based on the caliper of the trees and the number of trees removed. So under the new ordinance, it's 26 trees, 13 if the resident lived there, 50% reduction. Under the old ordinance, it would have been 34 trees. So you tell me which one you want to comply with.
Loaded question.
It is.
Any other questions for the planner? Seeing none, we will open up to the public. Any questions or comments about this testimony? Seeing none, we will close that public portion. Mr. Lavender?
Yeah, I think my client and myself, I want to get some clarification on how many trees. I don't have any reservation that my client will agree. I just know that he's going to ask me when I leave, and I don't want to give him a confused look. So if we could just figure out how many you're requiring, we'll get that agreed upon, but I just want to do that before I leave here and have to answer a question I don't know.
I would propose the most kind of, the clearest way we could put a guardrail on the 21 trees outlined in Chris's memo that can be reduced if an eligible analysis of the existing trees exists by an arborist or someone who was actually qualified at the time.
Okay.
If that exists, Chris can entertain reduction based on the findings of the arborist report.
Understood.
That's the ceiling.
That exists.
Yes,
Does that make sense?
exists. He has a letter.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So I think if approval happens, that would be the criteria. I think that would be the only mitigating thing that, it would be the 21 with the ceiling of reduction based on an actual arborist documented, predated, certified, whatever that needs to happen.
Steve, you understand that? No? Okay, we'll explain.
But to be clear, the 21's based on the planting of the 3 trees in the front yard.
Yes.
To begin with. Thank you.
Okay. I don't think there's any other criteria on that.
No, so I guess it's good enough time. So you're agreeing with that condition, with the terms of that, and working with Chris and
Yes.
along those lines, okay. And I think the only other condition was going to be 3-foot setback, is that right, for the shed?
Yes, I believe the applicant indicated they'd be willing to shift it over to a 3-foot minimum setback, which would mean we would need a new as-built survey as well.
Okay, and so there were two, I might have missed it, so it was side setback for the accessory structure as well as the rear setback. And so It was 2.71 proposed for the side, 2.55 proposed for the rear. So they're both changing to 3, is that right?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Good. All right, I don't think there was any other condition. Anything else?
No.
Okay, so that's what would be getting voted on.
Okay. So with those conditions, would somebody like to make a motion on this one?
Well, I believe we open up the questions for the
Oh, yes,
planner.
thank you.
We got to open it up
Yes.
for comments.
Now that the testimony is done, are there any questions or comments in its entirety for this application? Seeing none, we will close it. And now I say, would someone like to make a motion on this?
Motion to approve? Motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Sukan,
Yes.
Ms. Patel,
Yes.
Mr. Derer,
Yes.
Mr. Topic.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I misintroduced that last application as the last of the evening, because I forget we print on 2 sides of the paper.
I didn't flip the paper either.
Yes, yes. And with that, we get to the actual final application of the night. Yeah. Item 21, if it starts with a 21, you already have issues. 21-1303, application at 195 Main Street. Applicant is seeking amended site plan approval from November 11th, 2021, approval for modified landscaping plan, as well as an exception for sign location.
Yes.
Welcome back,
You're welcome
Mr.
back.
Lavender.
You've got me again. It's just me and my client, and then we'll be out of your hair. Lack thereof, my client and I don't have any hair. Once again, I'm Larry Lavender from the law firm of Wiley Lavender McNor. 195 Main Street Associates is the owner of 195 Main Street, which, as you all know, is on South Main Street, Block 158, lots 1.01, 1.02. There was, the original approval for this application was in November 21. It was memorialized by resolution the following month. And that approval permitted the conversion of an existing 3-story, 11,781 square foot office building into a mixed-use development containing an office suite on the first floor and 13 rental apartments. And there were approved a number of site improvements, including sidewalks, landscaping, decorative masonry walls, bicycle parking, rear patio with fencing and seating. The project's complete, it's occupied, and we're before you for a few issues. Those issues are revisions to the landscaping and site detailing, adjustments to the refuge enclosure gate area, and approval of the freestanding sign. So there's 3 overall issues to request approval of, and I think when you hear the reasons why, they make sense. And I'd like to have my client explain the reasons to you guys and ladies, if you will permit me, if you have no further questions for me.
Nope. Please proceed.
All right, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, please state your name and spell your last.
Jamie Gordon, Gordon.
I'm sorry, can you say it again?
Jamie Gordon, Gordon.
Got it.
Jimmy, do you want any particular issue you want to attack first?
I mean, is there any questions that they have so we could try to attack them one at a time, or do you want me to go through what the adjustments are, or?
I always like to do that, ask the board, but maybe they have a burning question right away. If not, we can.
I guess in plain language, tell us how we got here tonight from November 2021.
So we got approval originally for the landscape plan, the garbage enclosure, and the sign. So those, I think, are the major issues, unless Chris thinks there's some other ones. The sign is 6 square feet larger than it's supposed to be from the ordinance. There was a sign originally when I bought the building this size. I put the sign the same size back as was there before. Subsequently, Chris said to me that was a grandfathered sign that must have been in for a long time. Once you took it down, you can't put it back up. We slipped up, missed that, put the sign up. We went to the county to see if it was okay in the right of way. They signed off on it. They're okay with the position of the sign. I think Chris may be okay with the position of the sign. The sign, from my perspective, doesn't look too big for the site. I think it looks pretty. I think it looks great. But that was the mix-up in the sign sizing. It's in the back, in the same location the old sign was. It's just that there was a old sign there, and when our sign guy came to measure, he measured off what was there previously, and that's what we used. So that was the slip-up in the size of the signage. The garbage enclosure, which I'll go to, originally in the site plan, the garbage enclosure opened towards the backyard of the building, and we had garbage cans that we were going to roll out for private garbage. After calculating, with 8 cans that would fit in the enclosure, wouldn't have been enough to accommodate all 14 units. With the recyclables and everything else, we would have to have 3 or 4 pickups a week. And we were a little bit concerned about that because we leased the space from the parking authority and a truck coming in 3 or 4 times a week instead of coming in once a week. So we made the enclosure larger, and we moved the gate a tiny bit larger, and we moved the gate facing the parking lot, not facing the backyard. There was a couple issues with that. Originally in the site plan, we were supposed to build a block wall around the garbage enclosure. We had 2 issues with that. Was there is a gas line running straight down the side of underneath our sidewalk that only goes down 15 inches and turns right underneath where we would have to put footings for the garbage enclosure. So we switched to a vinyl fence, a solid vinyl fence on 3 sides, and we have a gate that's aluminum gate in the front. Well, in Chris's comments, it is an aluminum gate that you could see right through. We could put screening on it. I could try to camouflage the best I can so when you're pulling the parking lot, you're not looking at a dumpster, even though you're seeing the sides of the dumpster, not the front of the dumpster. So to try to camouflage that, I could do some white screening to try to match the vinyl fence or a color, any color that the board wants. But I could put some screening on the fence so you get some blockage there. So that was our issue with the garbage enclosure, was that we couldn't put footings in because we have a 4-inch gas main coming right underneath the footing, and it's only down 15 inches. I couldn't get below the frost line. They didn't want to, and when our masons got there, they didn't want to mess with the line at all by digging on both sides of it, see if it would shift, move it around. That was the adjustment we made on the garbage enclosure. And then our third was just the landscaping, right, Chris? So our third issue was that there was a retaining wall, a short retaining wall, a 12-inch retaining wall was supposed to be the left of the sidewalk. Right there is exactly where the gas line runs down, so I couldn't put a footing there either for the retaining wall. So we sloped it and graded it, which Colliers thought it was okay. Chris came out, thought it was okay. It looks sharp. We put the bike rack where it was supposed to be. Everything there worked out. Across the front of the building, we put a 2-foot retaining wall throughout the length of the front of the building. If you have the original site plan, which I think you guys probably do, if you're looking at the building to the left side of the front door, in the original site plan, it says cover. There was a big metal grate to the left of the front door. When we went to go landscape this in the manner in which we got it approved, there is a concrete 4x4 by 11-foot deep concrete basin right there that goes down that accommodates the electric for the building. There's 4-inch electrical lines running from the pole underneath that. So we had to put a retaining wall up because we didn't want to cut the actual concrete basin. So I picked the grade up closest to the building, and then we took the grass areas which were closer to the building and moved them in front of the wall to try to get as much grass area as we can to match the original site plan. With doing all of that, we'll have a shortage of plantings. We've put a subsequent plan in to try to get as close as we can to as many plantings as we can there, but also in the rear of the building, the rear north side of the building, we have 13 tenants, 11 of them have dogs. We built a dog run back there. They've already killed the grass 5 times. I've changed the sod 3 times. Every bush back there would be dead in a minute. So we never put any of the plantings in that back area also. So we're short in the back area where we put doggy bags every week and they walk their dogs. And so that was why we didn't put any plantings in the back. So the adjustments we had to make because of the utilities that we didn't foresee after we started digging was most of the adjustments on the landscaping. But we do have a plan to infill as much as we possibly can to try to get as close to as what our original plan was. So from a utility standpoint, we had issues that we couldn't just go along with whatever the landscape plan. As we all know, we make plans, and then as you get into it, even in architecture, that's the way it goes. So those were my challenges. These are the things we did on the fly, and we put in an additional landscape plan to try to get as much infill as we can.
Question about where the trash enclosure is. On the site plan, it appears that it lines up with the handicap space.
It is, we have photos also. It is, your trash enclosure is exactly where it always was supposed to be.
Right.
We didn't move it.
Yeah, I guess my it's a practical question. Oh, yeah, pass that around. Yes, I shouldn't hug the. You now have to roll, a truck needs to get to that item, and it's,
They pull in the middle of the parking lot, open the gate, roll them out, put them up, roll them back in.
okay,
So on both sides of on the left side of the handicap space is where we're ramped up for them to take it on and off. And even if there's handicap parking there, we still have the space on the side to get it down.
so you use the kind of handicap access aisle.
Well, we have a handicap access aisle, but then we also have space to the left of that, also that the ramp comes down to. So there is a little space between the handicap aisle and there, and we do have an agreement with the parking authority. When we told them we were having this issue, they had no issue, and that was where we came in with getting the larger cans, so they didn't have to come in 3 or 4 days, 4 times a week. They could come in once a week. So I do have an agreement with the parking authority also acknowledging this issue.
Okay. Yeah, just as a drawn site plan, it doesn't necessarily answer what you just testified to.
What's that? I'm sorry.
As a drawn site plan, it doesn't necessarily give the color that you just described.
Quick question, do we have this? Was this already submitted, these pictures?
No, it was,
You want to mark this?
oh, absolutely.
Make it A1, and what do we
I
call
just
it?
thought real-time pictures would be a little bit easier than going off the site plan.
Photos from a plan review, okay. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, it's being considered, so.
Okay. So, I guess what are we solving for here? There's not new variances.
No, it just didn't.
It's two exceptions.
It's two exceptions, okay. It's our fourth application, I'm just getting a little, yeah. So we're looking for exceptions for the signage.
Yeah, the size of the sign and the location of the sign being in the public right of way.
Okay.
But
And then
the prior sign was oversized and also in the public right of way. But once that sign was removed, the nonconformity, you lose that status.
Right.
So the new sign would have to comply. The
Yeah.
applicant just didn't know.
Right, and this is a case where, because it exists, we can evaluate it for the sign that it is, right? And it's
You don't have to
not,
guess the aesthetic now.
yeah, it's not, well, it's not blocking any, car movements, it's not around a corner, or it's not, it's an attractive sign, I agree.
Right, for sure.
Okay, so,
It is.
yeah,
I've gotten compliments from the Borough Council.
so it's making those exceptions and accepting the new landscape plan?
Yes, so to be clear, the signage issue triggered the need to go back to the board, but this was the opportunity to try to tie up all the loose ends.
Yeah.
And originally, the applicant's engineer gave me a as-built landscape plan, which was what the concept plan I presented to this board a few months ago. I was like, would you want this to come back?
Okay.
And with the understanding, applicant would have to come back anyway for the sign.
Okay.
And obviously, the answer was, of course, yes. But in the interim, and those as-built plants are shown, depicted in green on the plan. And the applicant's engineer showed additional plantings in black, which is substantially much better and closer in conformity to the original sketch that was provided. Actually, I did the sketch, and the engineer pretty much just drew it for me. So things change, obviously, in the field, but when I did my inspection, it was not nearly enough But then the applicant's engineer supplemented it with many more landscaping, and it's much better. My comments really suggest that some of them, we're only talking about 3 or 4 of them, should be replaced with taller shrubs where it can fit, particularly at the base of the sign. Because right now, if you were to drive down on South Main Street, you can see the concrete base of the sign. That's what I'm trying to screen and avoid, to make the sign look even better. Because I do agree, the sign looks attractive,
So-
especially at night.
Would this be something we would say you would continue to work with Meridian on the final plantings?
Yes, and I would say we're probably 99% there, other than taking 2 or 3 shrubs and saying, can you just make them a little bit larger at the base of the sign? And I think I also suggested a couple more trees. I believe 1 tree was already removed, and that was actually at the request of the county. So therefore, we do not require a replacement for that, if it was required by an entity to do so. My recommendation is to have the Shade Tree Commission's input as to what species would be suggested. Instead of just putting 1 back in, put in 2
Okay.
or 3.
Tell all your tenants to keep the dogs out of the new plantings.
Replace sod twice a year.
Okay, I think now is the time. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Then I'll go to the public.
This is the most I've ever talked.
There's only 5 people.
I know, right? I'm just curious. Well, let me just state why I'm asking this question. I think there's an interest in the board if something is approved one way, and then in the field, I understand things change. I work in a field where that happens all the time. But what is the proper? Like, it doesn't do us well to have someone come back after something is done and then ask for approval for what was done, right? Like, so what, I assume there should be some period where they would notify and come back and get approval for an updated plan, or?
Yeah, it's an interesting point of contrast as well, because we just had an applicant who originally didn't need to come in front of our board, literally did whatever he wanted, right? This is a case where in the field, they're adjusting things like the trash, those things weren't necessarily subject to variances or other things they're just different from what so at some point they could have done things that were just, let's say during the original testimony, we felt really strongly about the low walls that were to be put in for visual, safety, this, that, the other thing. I remember I was the chair in 2021. That wasn't the case for that. So in this case, it's kind of 6 in one, half dozen the other condition. I think it's good you bring that up, because at what point could you just change everything and come back? I appreciate the practical hands-on testimony you gave, because I took it that it was what you just said. It's life during wartime. It's situational. It's, and when you re-described what happens with the trash, it makes a lot more sense to me that you're not going to, wheel out residential. So, yeah. Yeah. So that's my take. I don't know if anyone else, if you have thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, when there's changes in the field, it happens all the time. Initially, when I did my final inspection, I was a little concerned about the landscaping, but the applicant has addressed that by proposing landscaping. I don't think the landscape is an issue anymore. Really, why the applicant's back is because of the dang sign. Once the old sign was removed, it lost its nonconformity, and the new sign had to conform, which frankly wouldn't look right. So this is the process, because they need 2 more exceptions.
Yeah.
And administratively, you can't grant additional variances and exceptions. That can only be done by coming back to the board.
Yeah. And they're not coming back saying, in the field, we decided to make the building taller.
Right.
Or bigger, or,
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that.
The original aesthetic was beautiful, but I think the aesthetic now is nice, especially after we infill it.
Right.
Got a little bit more grass in the front. I mean, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I live down in that area, and I walk my dog by, and I actually watched all of it going in before I was on this board, and I think it looks fantastic. I think it looks really nice and a good entrance to our town. This is something I brought up when we talked about it, because I am a lighting designer, and with your sign, sometimes, a lot of times, it doesn't seem to be functioning correctly where it's flickering.
Yeah.
And that is a personal bias to me, where it drives me crazy, because I know it can look great, and I don't know if there's any. I don't even know if that falls within the board of I don't know if there's anything we can do, or that's just,
I mean, we had it repaired, we had to put a couple
Okay,
different
great.
ballasts in it until we got the
Okay.
right one that would make it work, but it's been working consistently for the last like 2 months with the third new ballast in it working properly,
Gotcha.
so. I
Okay.
mean, that's just the internal lighting, and it's just the way the sign was made, so doing our best to try to make it. I mean, I like the aesthetic of the sign, and I like it lit up at night. I like the lights that are on the building at night. I think it looks very sharp. So we're trying to make sure that that's working all the time, like anything else you want.
agreed, great.
Tell the board what's the significance of the name.
Oh, that's my grandson, my oldest grandson, the Jack's building.
I'm glad I can now explain that to people. I'm glad I can now explain that to people.
Yes, there you go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else from the board before I open it up to the public?
I just need a clarification. So my memo suggested replacing the aluminum gate with vinyl, just so it matches. Are you proposing to keep it? the way
Yes,
it is?
oh, that was the other thing, I'm sorry. The gate was now so wide that a vinyl gate, my fence guy said, no matter what I do to it, it's gonna sag. If I put a wheel on, it's gonna sag, no matter what I do to it. That's why we went to aluminum. But he has nice white vinyl panels that are thin that I could bolt on the outside of it to try to give it the aesthetic you want. Or I could just put regular screening up, like regular fence screening up in white or in black, so you don't you don't see the actual dumpster when you're in the parking
Yeah,
lot.
I mean, I would prefer if it's vinyl. It's got good reasons why not to. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. So I'd be curious for the board's opinion on it.
I mean, I understand the structural aspect.
Right.
I mean, if,
And it's out of sight, out of mind, because you're only going to see it if you're parking in front of it. I'd be
Yeah.
fine leaving it the way it is. It's just asking if it could be vinyl. Applicant gave a good reason. Please not.
Shearing, yeah.
Like in a perfect world, it would be wood, and wood wouldn't sag.
right,
like
but
you
you're
see at
saying
Starbucks.
if they keep the gate as is, are you okay with them putting screening behind it so you don't see what's behind it?
It might look tacky. I mean, we'll investigate it, but I don't think I will require it. Unless the board really wants it.
No, I think there may be a non-tacky way to do it.
But we'll look at it,
Yeah.
but I don't think I'll make that subject to
I'll do
us.
some drawings on what the screening would look like,
A photo of a built example would be better.
What's that?
A photo of a built example might be better.
Yeah, that's
Because
what I'm saying.
drawings
I'll
is
do a
just black and
photo
white.
with them, and we'll crop in some different design, either the vinyl or the screening, and then send it to you with them cropped in. If you
Yeah, and
want-
we'll decide whether or not it's worth
If you
it.
want to leave it alone, just let me know. I'll do either one, any and all. It doesn't really.
Okay. And the landscaping we're addressing, I'll need to get shade trees input on the species.
There was a mistake on well, whatever you say, obviously, Chris, but there was a mistake that there was one or those two bushes I have it on the end are flowering, and they're kind of like, I don't know if you could qualify them as flowering trees or shade trees. So wherever you want them or whatever you say, I mean, we've done this on the single-family residential side a bunch of times about you telling me what to put in. So you tell me where you want it and how you want it. I'll accommodate whatever you say.
That's the dwarf Japanese holly.
Yeah, I believe so.
How tall did they get?
I really don't know.
All right, I'll look it up. It's
Yeah.
less than like 6 feet. I might ask for like a dogwood or whatever.
I really don't, whatever you say, I'm going to change the landscape. We're short as many as we are. Whatever you want me to put in, we'll put in. That's all I have.
Yeah, within reason. I think what you showed was a good compromise in the middle, given the site conditions you faced.
So now we will open up to the public. Seeing no one, we will close it to the public. And now the very strange aspect, subject to landscape input, this board would be voting to grant the sign exception. Okay.
I was just going to say, it sounds like there's robust agreement on the part of the applicant to work with the board planner as to any fence questions and the,
Fencing and final landscape materials.
Nice. Right, no problem. Okay.
Before we vote, is it my understanding you need a CO for any financing?
No, we've gotten past that with the TCO, but we do need to get a CO kind of, we have a timeline.
Okay, I'm trying to be,
We've done that, we've gotten past all of that.
okay, good.
And financing is in place, it just get the CO.
I only raised it up because obviously wait for a resolution to be adopted. That would delay everything, so. Sounds like it's,
Thanks, showing that we're in the process. We're good.
okay, so if the board is okay with it, I'll be willing to grant a CO if it's needed for vending, for your lender. and we'll work together. I mean, if you don't do it within 6 months, I'll have the zoning official issue a violation. We'll slap the wrist. We'll deal with it then, but it sounds like we don't need to worry about that.
I've done the same thing. Okay, would someone like to make a motion on the granting of the acceptance of the sign and all of the other things that were just said?
Move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Sukan?
Yes.
Ms. Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Derer?
Yes.
Mr. Topping?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, board. Always a pleasure to be present.
Yeah, thank you.
Chris, thank you, Joanna. Thanks for all your help.
You'll be back for more, I'm sure.
I will.
Okay. We have no correspondence?
No, I apologize.
No, that's fine. So we could say, all in favor of closing the public portion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.